Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today I'm going to be working up this landscape with value. One of the best ways to adjust the composition for any painting that you're working on. One of the best ways to move the viewer's eye across the screen, well, across the painting in some way. This is digital, so it will be a screen. But of course, this works for traditional media as well as digital media, which I'll be working in, which is, I'm on Krita right now, one of the best painting softwares out there. Okay, so here's the drawing that I've been working with for a while. And yeah, I'm just gonna kind of jump right into it. I have a general idea of, well, the big masses of value, where I want them to go and everything. And then I'll begin making adjustments from that. I'm going to keep the drawing layer on top, and then below I'm going to add a new layer, and this layer will be where I put all of my value. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I mean values part of color itself. That's the range from light to dark. So if you look at my color wheel over here on the left, one great thing that I can do with it, with Krita, is I can change, the amount of value range that I have. A 9 scale value range is really nice. That's kind of where most artists work within. Black on the bottom, perfect white on the top, and then your grays in the center. But I'll probably compress it even more. I won't go all the way to white, and I won't go all the way to black. And we'll stay with just white and black with this layer. And then after working up the value, we'll work with color after that. So let's get a really big brush to kind of throw some value around in here. And yeah, let's just get the painting. Having fun. One thing I have noticed that I've done for a while is, I'm especially on digital media right now, you don't have to be super careful with this, and it's almost a lot faster if you're not careful with this kind of block in. And actually I can just do a fill there and then just come back in and clean up some things. It's almost, well, at least for me, I feel like it's easier to just block in big masses and then clean up later, especially when you already have your drawing. So I'm going to go over a lot of these lines right now, just like that. Now the one thing is that may be a bit too dark. Let's compress it a bit more, which is fine. I can just delete everything I did on that layer, and then let's go down to this value. Let's make this our darkest dark. The reason why you want to compress your values when you're working with them is so you can have more range to work with as the painting goes. If you go all the way black and all the way white, and you work within the full value scale, by the end of the painting you will find that you have too much black and too much white everywhere, and you don't have any other place to go to show emphasis. So here I am, I'm just going to go around and start cleaning these edges up with my drawing. Another way you can do this is you can do selection masks within Krita. So I could do a selection mask with all of these areas and then work them up that way. I've tried that before. I don't like the edges that it creates. There's like hard edges everywhere. I guess I could feather those selection masks so the edges aren't as hard, but you know, we're gonna do it this way. And part of this is all about experimentation. So if you've always done it one way, try it a different way. You may learn something that you've never learned before. Maybe something brand new that changes the way that you work with art, your art altogether. So I also need to keep atmospheric perspective in mind when working with this landscape, because I have a lot of distance involved here. So this extreme foreground that I'm working on right now will be the darkest area. And then as you recede into the background, the value gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And then the brush strokes get smaller and smaller and smaller. And actually, you know, if I pull out here, one thing that is nice to also establish is, let me pick the second lightest light here, and I'll put it there. So that could be our lightest light, or one down, which is just a bit different than the background. This one's darker. So we could make our lightest light the background color, and just work within, you know, these shadow shapes, right? So just working consistently within shadow. That's also a possibility. Let's do this side now. So I want this cliff face to be all in shadow as well, along with the rocks that are down here. And it's going to be casting its own shadow that goes here. And then that shadow is going to be coming down on, well, another cast shadows on this side. You'll see what I mean. There's going to be a ray of light that separates that figure out. Just like that. Okay. Go back to my brush. Start cleaning up some of this. This is a lot of fun because the drawing phase of this painting, and a lot of paintings take a lot longer, but then when you're throwing the value in, you know, it's just so quick and satisfying. It just happens fast, really fast, which is nice. I mean, it's there's a lot of motivation there because you're accomplishing so much so quickly. Okay, I wish this brush had some rotation. I need to put that on the brush. Okay, so let's clean up some of these edges. My stream today probably won't be very long. I have a busy Sunday ahead. We're getting close to the holidays, so we'll be doing a lot of things at the shops today. Well, not the shops, but... And I have an event, an artistic event to go to, which shall be fun. There's that. All right. right, and the other will be fine. Let's see where we're at. Okay, so that's really the foreground elements established. Everything else, even the darkest darks, will kind of fade off. Although there is one thing that I want to do down here. I want that shaft of sunlight to, slope down here a little bit and then actually hit this rock. Yeah. I think that's good. Okay. And we will worry about the person and everything a bit later. I think. Okay. So even in the background, there's going to be some dark shadows, but they'll never be as dark as what I have here. So for the next darkest items, I'm going to drop down one scale. And already I'm feeling the constraint of this 9 value scale. But I'm going to try really hard to stay within that. And that's just going to help me out later a lot. If I can stay within that scale, I will establish a better mood, or a good mood, with the most simple strokes possible. Oh, and by the way, I'm creating another layer that's in the background. I will establish a mood with the most simple, value scale as possible, and from there I can just get more and more complex if I need to. So I'm going to put this whole thing in shadow. It's going to be a lot to clean up on these edges because this is far in the distance. This is the closer bank for the lake that's back here. And the bank that's on this side for that lake will be in shadow. Okay, if I completely close that in, I should be able to fill it. Yep. Sometimes trees and things look a little bit better when you focus on cutting out the background from the trees. Sometimes. And then sometimes it just looks like the background is coming forward when you do that way. But what's nice about that is that you can kind of cut into trees this way and establish, those little pieces of light that kind of poke through. I'm not going to get that detailed right now, but just as an example. I finished up this drawing yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind of what I want to do with all these little parts and pieces. So if you're just coming back to a painting, after weeks away from it or something, hopefully not, but it's probably pretty good to first look at what you've done previously, and then refresh where it's going to go. Or make notes while you're painting. But if you paint every single day, if you do art every single day, you don't need to worry about that because it's fresh within your mind. Just having fun cutting out these trees from the background as I set up a very general value area. This is in preparation for an actual oil painting that I plan to do with this composition. I'm using digital media to work out all the issues and problems that could arise within this painting that I've created basically out of my head for the most part, with help from a lot of amazing artists. Oops. Digital is a very forgiving medium. Oil painting is a very forgiving medium, but not as forgiving as digital is. You can quickly and easily fix and adjust and change within digital and save a lot of time. And then transfer this to a canvas. There's a little stream running through. I want to get some lights in there. Don't want to lose it. This is our actor, our little person, our adventurer. I have not figured out the drawing for this person, but they are so small, it doesn't really matter at the moment. Alright, let's see what we got. Okay. Now we're going to get into it. Because the most important part of this painting is that mountain in the background. And I want to... There's a Bierstadt painting I have here. This guy. Look how beautiful that is, right? So I'm going to steal a little bit of these shadow shapes well, at least where the shadow's falling, I like what's happening here in a lot of cases. So I'm just kind of looking it over, and then I'm going to create a new layer under this layer. And let's see, do I stay with the same value range or do I go lighter? Yeah, lighter. Okay. So let's get into it. One thing I want to capture is this is a waterfall here, but there's some cliff faces back here that are in shadow. There's all these little crevices and pieces of interest that I've created. So my light source, let's do this. Let's make a new layer here. And let's go this way. And it's always really helpful for me, and I think a lot of people, to do a light source, you know, where it's coming from. And many people even do this kind of three-dimensional cone shape. So you can see if it's pointing closer towards you or if the light is going away from you in some way. And so the light's coming from a little bit behind the viewer and coming down this way. But that doesn't really work with the way I've structured some of this. So yeah, I'm going to change it. So let's do it this way. This may seem kind of ridiculous, but understanding exactly where your light is coming from is extremely important. So this ellipse is going to be very thin. So it's kind of coming forward. Maybe directly to the side of the viewer and coming in. And so I need to constantly reference that, right? No, that's too dark, not that one. And I need to be on the correct layer. Because when I set up where my light is coming from, that's going to inform all of this other detail. Now I know that a lot of these broader areas, after establishing that, I can block in really quickly. So this whole cliff face over here, there. This whole area is going to be in shadow. A lot of times what happens when you're working on a painting, especially a painting this complex, is you'll kind of get lost in the complexity and you won't know where to start or where to go or what to do next. And it's almost debilitating. So what you do is you begin to simplify. So if you don't know where to start, if there's just so much there, look at what you have, kind of zoom out, walk away from your painting, step back from your painting, and look at what is the easiest first, if you can establish that. Sometimes even that is hard to establish. Okay, what is the next easiest thing to paint? And that was it. So this big easy spot, and now that's going to lead into other aspects of this. And excuse me, I'm going to grab some tea. Okay. So now that I have this established, I know that these ridges here are going to be in light. The light's going to be hitting them. So now I can kind of have fun with it. Like, well, maybe this part of this raised area is in shadow, right? And then because this is kind of a ridge that goes over here, you're going to have a cast shadow that follows the plane of, the direction of the plane. So there's a cast shadow there. So now I can begin to have fun with these things. So this I'm not understanding. I can't remember what is supposed to happen there. Let me look at Bierstadt, because I know I was pulling a lot of influence from his painting. And it's just in the way. Holy cow. What a big painting. So what I need to establish here is if I don't have a top plane and a side plane for this little area, it's going to be harder to figure out the value range. Or if I don't have a top plane and a side plane, it's going to be a gradual slope. Then the value is going to get darker gradually there. Let's do a little bit of both. Let's create some interest here by establishing this as a top plane. And in this front plane, a lot of this is going to be caught into shadow, except for that little bit there. Oops, it was open somewhere. It's okay, I can fill this in quickly. Okay, what does that look like? It's a bit too straight right there. We need more interest on this little cliff. And this is super far in the distance, so I need to make sure that I keep a lot of these brush strokes for this detail. It's just tiny. To continually give an understanding of distance. Maybe there's a little bit that's catching the light there and right there, but at an angle. Yeah, that's more interesting. Okay, one of my favorite parts on this is this waterfall. I really like how Bierstadt treated that, where part of the waterfall is in shadow. So I think I'm gonna actually steal that as well. Still in little parts and pieces, making it my own. There's no way that I could ever hope to make it exactly as Bierstadt. I wouldn't want to do it as exactly as Bierstadt anyways, honestly. I want to be, my own artist, something a little bit different. Do it in my own way. Someone here was spamming my channel. Reported. Okay, bye-bye to those spam comments. Thank you for giving me some watch time. I'm still not, oh, it looks like we have a comment too, a good comment. I really appreciate these live streams and you're showing us not only what you're doing, but why. Thank you. I'm trying to learn Krita as well, so this helps. Awesome. Thinker888. I'm also learning Krita. I'm not going to tell you that I know Krita really well, but I have been working with it for several months. There's a lot of cool things that I figured out within it. So if you have any questions, please ask. If you're still here, I'm not sure. People come in and out, and if you're not, that's fine. But maybe I can give some information to anybody that's watching. The fun way to do that is ask, okay, what is the first thing or the one most important thing that a new artist coming into Krita would want to know? It would be maybe the most important for them. It's a very difficult question too, a lot of times. Get you to think, figure out stuff. No, I don't want to work on that later. Let me see, the most important thing within Krita. I'm going to look at all the controls and everything and see if I can remember. Well, it really depends on what kind of artist you are. As a traditional artist, I find that looking at the different types of color wheels and figuring out how to use them is really important. I wouldn't start with the base color wheel unless it works for you. I moved to this artistic color wheel because it works really well with this idea of traditional painting. You got these separations of value, saturation, and hue, and that gives you a better understanding of the color wheel, honestly. That would be number one. And it kind of fits along with what I would say would be number two, which is, don't go with the main workspaces. Figure out your own workspace. So I have a split workspace that I work with sometimes. I have, oh no, here's my split workspace. I was gonna say it's kind of weird. And then I tend to use this one a lot because I'm right-handed, and I like for things to be all on the right, when I'm working, and then selection on the left, but, picking those out are good. Oh, don't get too caught up in the brushes. Oh my gosh. I mean, you could waste all of your art time just trying to figure out the perfect brush. And this is the same trap that many people run into with traditional media. They try to go and find the perfect material, whether that's paint or brushes or charcoal pencils or whatever. And they figure, well, if I find the best thing, this will make me a better artist. No. None of these tools will make you a better artist. They may make things easier for you in some way. They may click with your brain. They may work perfectly with your brain in some way so that you're more motivated to work with them. But ultimately, the best thing to remember is put the time and effort. Oh, another question. Thinker88, thanks for asking questions. I appreciate this. I appreciate you being here. Have you used Krita as a precursor to other oil paintings? Yeah, I have. Let me show you my website real quick. Forgive me for wanting to show off a little bit. And you may hate this, but I'm going to show you anyways. So my website, chrisbevan.com, it's mostly traditional media. I haven't really filled out my digital very much. Most of this is all AI generated that I've painted over in some way. But if you go to my daily art area, you'll see two paintings in here. Well, you see a lot of digital work. But this painting here that I'm still in the middle of, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue with, maybe later on. This began digitally. I'll show you the digital version of that. This one I finished last month. I began this one digitally. Actually, where's the finished version of that? Here it is. So, and influenced by AI generated art on that as well. This one began digitally as well. Actually, I have this one in my painting section. Here's a full digital piece that I just edited some AI generated background for a narrative. I added in the girl and a lot of changes too down there. Oh, this one here was begun digitally and then finished traditionally. Not sure if I like that. This is the digital painting that I worked on that I'm working up traditionally. Hasn't really worked out traditionally. I mean, there's a lot of AI influence within this. You can see that. I mean, if you know AI stuff, you'll see it in here. So I would never sell this. It's just, a painting I wanted to do. I think it's beautiful, but it's just not really translating traditionally that well. This one here I worked up digitally. This one was a lot of fun because it was a digital painting that I did a paint over on. I added a figure into, and then I painted it directly on the canvas without, so the bottom one here is, oil paint directly on the canvas. So I was looking at the original digital piece and I painted it as I saw it. And then this one here, I actually ordered the painting printed on a canvas. and then I painted over it with digital, so you can see the differences. Um, and I think the digital version, the digital paint over, actually worked a lot better. So yeah, mostly those. If you go in my painting section, you'll see those. You know, 1, 2, 3 there for. Oh, this one here also started digitally. Yeah, all the way back in September. Then if you really want to see what I do every day, especially digitally, you can go way back in time because I log every single day. A lot of AI influence that I was working with and kind of painting over. Kind of jumping out of that, doing a lot of uh, portrait drawing and painting digitally. This was a lot of fun because I was working from a movie called, oh man, it's a Van Gogh movie. I forget what it's called. It's a wonderful movie. I bet you I say it in here. Yeah, At Eternity's Gate. It was a really good movie. If you love Van Gogh, you'll love it. Working with Marco Bucci and his course on how to paint a head. If if you're working with portraits or figures in some way, you want to learn how to paint a head, Marco Bucci's course on that is absolutely fantastic. Here I'm working digitally with Proco's course, so proco.com, the figure drawing course, like they're just main figure drawing course. So having a lot of fun there. I do enjoy figurative work, and this is where I really started digital painting. Is I got into the svslearn.com, the School of Visual Storytelling. It's absolutely fantastic. I did a composition class, creative composition with Will Terry. If you want to know composition, that's absolutely fantastic. Here's a digital piece that I did, or some digital drawing that I did. Actually, that's from ArtStation Images. And then, oh yeah, drawbox.com. I started working that digitally. And then I actually took my iPad with Procreate into a life drawing and working up within life drawing. I do like Procreate, I just don't use my iPad that much, so I'm here sitting down with my big 24-inch pen display, so that's really helpful. And you can see where I've kind of begun with trying to figure out digital. This was back in March this year. So I feel like, it's actually really nice to look back at, if you do art every day and you log it, you can look back and you can see how you've grown. Because every time we're working on something, whatever it is, like this piece here, as I'm working on it, we're our own worst critics, right? And so I'll look at this and I go, wow, I kind of suck, I'm not that great, this doesn't look that good, man. We always beat ourselves up about it, but then, going down memory lane like that, like I just did, I feel a lot better about this piece now. So I'm more excited to continue on. So hopefully I didn't ramble too much. For your digital, did you mostly use Photoshop? No. I started in Photoshop, and then a friend of mine showed me Krita. And at first I was like, well, everybody in the industry uses Photoshop, so it must be the best thing out there. That is not true. In my opinion, if you're a painter, this is where you want to be. Now, if you want to do a bunch of photo bashing, because ultimately Photoshop is a photo manipulation tool, if you want to do a bunch of photo bashing along with that, I think Photoshop could be your ally within that. But if you're doing digital painting, if you want that kind of fluid idea of painting, Krita is way to go. And you don't have to spend money. I mean, Photoshop isn't that expensive. You get the really cheap Photoshop Lightroom plan, which I'm actually paying for. It's $11 a month after tax, in the US. Um, it's not that expensive, but 11 bucks a month, man. It's $120 a year, right? Or more than that. $122 a year, or whatever it is. Math is not my strong suit. Oh, jeez. Um, where you could just download Krita for free and get constant updates. And there's so much that Krita does that Photoshop does not even get close to. Just nowhere near it. The first thing that I would say that I love about Krita is this. It's so simple. Hold shift, change brush size. I think maybe you can set this up in Photoshop, but in Photoshop it's a keystroke, and you can still do that. Like here it is in Krita where I'm just holding down keystrokes and just tap, tap, tap. Or I go up here and I change my brush size. Just like in Photoshop, but just holding shift and dragging is, I mean, I'm sorry, that's just really fantastic. The other thing is paint, turn to eraser, continue erasing. That flow is so fast within Krita. I mean, it's Photoshop can't beat it. I mean, I could outline this little area of the mountain, okay? And then I'm outside my lines or whatever, hit E, and then start cutting into it within an instant. And there we go, done. It's so much faster. Within Photoshop, it's, oh, I gotta pick the other brush, and then pick the other brush, and then pick the other brush, or set up keystrokes so that, you know, you can go back and forth from it. So just right out of the box, I think those two things are fantastic. I think what really sold me on Krita, and I don't use it that often, but it's just one of those wow factors, is this one tool. It's called the Assistant tool, and Thinker 88. I don't know if you've played with that yet. Maybe you have. Maybe you're nodding. I don't know. But if you ever want to learn perspective, this may not show very well with all this gray in the background. So let's do this. Let's turn it bright red. Okay. I can set up 2-point perspective grids in an instant. Look at that. Not only that, if I pick out, let's say, a green, okay, and switch to my brush, now this is my brush, okay, and let's say that I'm working with buildings, and I can snap it to Assistant. I can you can't see it because the lines are so small, but I can quickly and easily establish a perfect box in perspective, and it's kind of messing with what I had there, but so let's do one up here. So there's a vertical line, okay, so maybe in this square I stop it there, and this one I can't see. It went a bit far on that one. Yeah, I need to work with this more. Anyway, let's see. How do I get rid of it? Oh, that's terrible. Anyway, learn that if you want to do perspective. And honestly, it's absolutely mind-blowing what you can do with that. And that's only one thing. That's a 2-point perspective grid. They got concentric ellipses, ellipse, fisheye point, infinite ruler, parallel ruler. There's so much in here is just amazing. Like vanishing point, what does that do? Oh, it's just a 1-point vanishing point. Okay, and I can move it around. I don't know what all this does. Oops, I don't want that. Oh, wow. Man, crazy stuff. So good. So yeah, I really like Krita. There's so much to it. Unfortunately, well, there's a lot of tutorials on um, YouTube about it. So I would go to YouTube and check out a lot of things. There's one artist that you'll run into that makes brushes for Krita, and I have a few of his brushes that does most of the Krita tutorials. Would I recommend XP Pen 24? Yes, 100%. There's a few manufacturers out there, but what works with you as well, and what works with your current setup. I did a ton of research on this, and since you're here, dude, I'm gonna focus on you right now, and I'm kind of done drawing at the moment, so I'm going to give you the result of all of my research that I did within XP Pen and Wacom, or I'm sorry, Wacom. So let's do this. Just very quick. I mean, all the best people out there are using Wacom, right? So I'm not even going to look at the Cintiq Pro 24. Let's look at the Cintiq 16. So a small 16. We're at $1,500 right out of the box, okay? If you look at, wow, go away. 27 is 3,500. These Wacom ones are really tiny. There's a 16. Here's your 24. Oh, they marked it down from 3,000 to 28. Oh, wow, that's terrible. 16, 23. Like, here's a little tiny 16-inch, okay? It's nice. I mean, it's portable, I think. Is this even portable? I'm not sure. Maybe you still need to hook it up with a computer because it's just a screen. We're at $649, okay? Now, the XP Pen is completely different in pricing. It's... we're looking at a 24-inch Pro, one of their biggest models, with all the bells and whistles, at the same price. I've watched like just a ton of reviews on the differences between XP Pen and Wacom, and there's just really no comparison. I mean, there's probably a bit better of stylus within Wacom, but does that is that enough to justify the price range, right? So you'll spend, if you get a 24 here, and they're always on sale at the XP Pen. I got mine for around $500. So depending on, you wait for the best sale to come around. Here's the 22R Pro for $450. It depends on what computer you have that you need to run it, because these are pen displays. They have to be hooked up to a computer. But the 24 here is $2,300. I mean, it's just ridiculously expensive. If you have that money to blow, if you have money just coming out the wazoo, yeah, get a Wacom. Go for it. But most of us don't have that. So this works just fantastic. It's flawless. I mean, from the day I started using it, I was thinking, this is great. I love everything about it. The adjustment of making it vertical to, changing the angle of it, everything is really good. And it's huge. It's 24 inches. It works as a separate monitor that you can draw and stuff on. So even if you get an XP Pen or a Wacom, right? You have this extra monitor that you can use. And so you think about, would you ever go out and spend, $2,000 on an extra monitor? Probably not, right? But you would probably spend $500 or $600. Oh, you have a Wazoo. Oh, interesting. I haven't even looked at those. But yeah, I would definitely recommend XP Pen. You don't have to get the 24-inch. If your computer can run a 256 by whatever it is, 1280 or something like that, then yeah, go with the 24 when it's on sale. The only reason why I got the Pro version of the 24 is because at the time it was what was on sale for the cheapest. It was cheaper than just the regular 24. And the one thing I would say is the buttons on the side, I don't even use those. I use my keyboard. But you may love the buttons on the side, so it's really good for you. Yeah, it's fantastic. Stylus is good, and especially when you're starting out as a digital artist. I really don't know the difference, the minute differences between stylus handling, so it's not going to matter to me. It's like, I've been doing oil painting and drawing for most of my life. I'm 47 years old now. And every single artist, if they asked me what materials to buy, if they were just starting out, I would say get the cheapest possible. And the most important thing you want to do is just get to work. Get the cheapest possible, get it in front of you, and put the mileage in. Through that mileage, that's where you're going to gain skill, and the skill is paramount. Oh, I see. If you had money up the wazoo. I think all of our wazoos is tapped out. I was thinking that there was a pin display called Wazoo. There's so many weird names out there. Oh yeah, I know how you feel. Yeah, we're kind of tapped out on a lot of things. Trying to save money over the holidays. It's not easy. So I hear you. I hear you. Well, I'm about to end this stream, but if you have any other questions, let me know. I'm going to pause here for the lag to come through so you get that question. Take some tea. Back to the painting. Did you forget about the stream in the foreground? No. It's still there. Maybe you're talking. Okay, hold on one second. Let me get back to it in a second after I save this. This is day 5 on the 11th. I even like how Krita saves over Photoshop. So the stream in the foreground, if you're talking about this stream down here, right? No, I didn't forget about it. I want to keep it all in shadow. It's still there. So this was just a huge block in, right? And if you're talking about the stream down there, I'm going to keep that kind of loose for right now. So this stage of this value block in is really early. I mean, there's no soft edges, just hard edges everywhere. Maybe a little soft edge down there, but just establishing, is the value range that I'm pulling in here, is it good? Okay. And that's really what I'm trying to establish. After that, I can really go in and get some subtleties going. So I could switch to a brush like this that has a pressure sensitivity to it. And then maybe if I want to lighten this up a bit, I have to be on that layer, so that helps. I can go in here and kind of lighten up things, just very carefully, to set it apart in some way. But to do that at the beginning would confuse a lot of what I'm trying to establish. I'm establishing kind of the broad strokes here and of what's going on. And once you see like this basic establishment of value, then that's and you see that that's good, then you can start getting into, kind of the minute details. And honestly, as I'm thinking about that, I could get through this a lot faster by not worrying about all these little nooks and crannies and stuff, and just kind of establishing kind of broad value ranges. And as I look at this, even thinking about it, the latest things that I put up here need to go away, because especially that one, it's a bit far back. It's too far back, and it needs to be a bit light. Oops, needs to be a bit lighter. All of this. So thanks for the question, because it helped me out there. Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it for me. I'm kind of done for the day. I have a lot of other things to do. I'm going to try and get an oil painting setup, or not an oil painting setup, but a setup for oil painting that will show that I can either stream with or record videos with. And so that's going to be my main focus for the rest of my day today. And, just having fun on a Sunday. So thank you for your time, Thinker88. I appreciate you. Thanks for asking the questions. And I'll be here again tomorrow. I'm trying to stream every single day because I do art every single day anyways. I think I'm probably going to cut down my streaming time to about 30 minutes digitally here, and then begin working on a traditional painting as well. So maybe I'll have that set up and streaming, maybe not, but I'll be here tomorrow. If you are, tomorrow's Monday, so it's kind of hard for a lot of people to be up at that time. Anyway, thanks a lot. I'm out of here.